Yo, Yamamo Aqua Bastion so eba POG Media so message safi and I said waba Jumedia so subscribe like it to Jumedia and share nema afofro and so answer and can be kindly click on the notification bell so send be the any news be at the platform so I want so wo hunu the airco and the air by yan queen some near France some do na no embra ye bo edi era a year former attorney general Daniel Domelevo. Yeah, I him say nansen tem okotena KSM show so ekeka yen sensem bi na we ana papa ya ba aba yi no ho ano sensem na okan ye no sebi omo atwene na ade akosi bone na sensem na okan no enye saa ena ye ebimu omo susu so omo ye de omo kan ntino nsem a some propaganda phobi de nam especially NPP for share chi na omo gu no ho fi no enye sanity or the some do na to dwa expose a whole lot of enyoma oka about orans and some nyanko tie.
Daniel joins us on the phone. And I'm coming to the biggest peacemaker amongst all of you. There's a reason I kept him there. He will be the Trump. He will be the Trump to give us the peace plan. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are discussing your frustrations about the delay and how you cannot even see the end of the tunnel to talk about talking about lights at the end of that tunnel, and where your frustration even gives you suspicions that if they are not doing what they are doing, it's either they are complicit or something of the sort.
Yes, Samson, thank you very much, and thank you. Greetings to your panel. And I think what I said has been taken out of context because almost all of you have listened to the excerpt that KSM put together, not the full interview. If you had listened to the full interview, I acknowledge the work being done by the accountant, the attorney general, the Yoko, OSP, and all others. And I even said that I am not satisfied, not because I was expecting that convictions will have been made by now or monies will have been recovered by now, but my dissatisfaction is about the legal system, the framework.
Yeah, sir, we played your a part of the excerpt, which actually captures part of what you are saying, and it's difficult to say that you were taken out of context because you said 9 months was too long. Now you are saying that you are saying that you are saying that
you have played the entire thing.
No, but even the parts that we played acknowledges what you just mentioned, except that you are now explaining a part of it. Now you have just mentioned something that you acknowledge. Just a minute. Just a second. You said you acknowledge work done by OSP, whoever. They are not. OSP is not doing oral. So which one is that?
No, I'm talking about fight against corruption. I'm not talking about oral.
Okay.
You see, you are talking about oral.
Yes.
I was talking about the fight against corruption and maybe economic crime. So the point I made was that if you listen to the full tape, you will have seen I mentioned some things that I think are not in place. One, I said the legal framework, because we need a law on reverse burden. We need a law to bring finality to prosecution of corruption cases. For instance, 6 months or 1 year must be a time limit. I talked about the need to enhance the capacity of the judiciary so that they can work even in the night, so that the cases can go faster. I listed a whole lot of things which you are not playing. So that is what I'm saying. If these things are not done, I cannot see the end of the tunnel, not to talk about the light at the end, because the prayer of the corporate and their lawyers is that the trial will continue until there is a change in government. And given the current legal framework, that is what is going to happen. So maybe I think that must be taken into consideration.
Okay. Thank you.
We are talking about legal framework.
Thank you. But, we did acknowledge that even at the time when Okujeto and the rest were talking about oral and as it were, getting people excited and getting people's hopes high up there, you were the one who intervened and said all the things that Oral had done needed to go through a process of auditing. So we acknowledge that. You said that I want to go specifically to that time and what the specific thing you said around the time. I'm looking at a report on the 11th of February. That's a day after the presentation was made. Bulk of oral report needs an audit to verify procurement breaches. Audited former Auditor General. So thank you for your intervention.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay. Yes, Prof.
Just a quick one before then. You know, the crux of what has just been done by Domelevo is very significant. And what it also means, as I was saying, is that we cannot take things just, you see, we have only gotten, we were privy only to a certain content. And when you hear from the horse's own mouth that there was a need to have elaborated on what transpired, maybe to have watched a 30-minute of the entire interview or 15 minutes rather than the excerpt, which could be pieced together, and that has resulted in us assuming that his full content.
Frankly speaking,
mental.
I don't know anything he has said that is new from the excerpt we played.
No, I think we
sometimes these are busy people. They are not watching or listening. Somebody will call them and say, people are saying X, Y, Z. But there's a reason we played it the second time. No, but when we're playing it the second time, you're having a conversation. You are not listening.
No, I listened. I've watched it already.
Yes, Prof.
So good morning to you once again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to your listeners and viewers. What you see going on for me is when you think of this issue of corruption and the fight against
justified frustrations.
Yes, and the fight against corruption has two dimensions to it: the legal dimension and the political dimension. The former president always used to say, not until you are in trouble and you find yourself on the wrong side of the law, you would never fully appreciate due process. But where I think in the eyes of the public, he was perceived as having lost the fight against corruption is because he took an extremely legalistic stand on it. Let due process work. Let due process work. Except that in the fight against corruption, the public doesn't see due process. Not until you are following a case, not until you read news about it, not until you are privy to adjournments and all of those things. Nobody sees due process. But everybody sees the politics of the fight against corruption, the statements you make, the assurances that you give Ghanaians. That is where you also win the fight against corruption with the public. You have to balance the politics with the legal aspect of it. So isn't it intriguing that now you have some of the voices that were so certain of who was going to go to jail, right? I always play back this tape where a particular individual was listening. Person A, candidate for jail. Person B, candidate for jail, right? And I look at that and I say, maybe this is the lesson also for partisans when they promise a strong fight against corruption, because it is not as though you are not fully aware of due process, the way our institutions work. You've been in government before. In the midst of all of that, you were still very certain in your engagement with the public of who was going to go to jail, how much money you were going to be able to recover. So when these same voices now say that, but we have to respect the process, we have to allow institutions to work, you can understand why the public will be justifiably frustrated, because in your engagements with the public, nobody ever said, but just so you know, these things take time. It can take forever because the wheels of justice grind slowly. We want to make sure we don't convict innocent people, all of those things. Nobody said that to the public. The public was given assurances that, hey, these quote-unquote crimes allegedly have been committed. It has cost us this much. And they should say we don't want to convict innocent people. And that is what the public is waiting.
Give you one example of what Oral told us.
Yeah.
They told us that the former National Investigative Bureau boss, Nana Abrakwa, was caught in a land transaction. He said he paid pittance, 160,000 Ghana cedis, for land that should cost in the open market about $700 US.
Million. 700,000.
$700,000 US. That's what they said. PJ2 was blunt and forward with it. So what do you want the person sitting out there to think? Should they agree with you when you say, oh, they should put a caveat there that we don't want to convict innocent people, when you had already told them that this man has stolen land? He paid 160,000 Ghana cedis when the land cost 700,000 US.
Precisely my point. So at this point, the public, and justifiably so, do not want to hear things about investigations and due process and justice grinds slowly.
So are they justified?
The public is justified to feel, because the certainty with which you promise those results, it's all the public is waiting to see. And as I keep saying, nobody sees due process. You can't touch it, you can't feel it. But everybody can see a convicted person in handcuffs or being sent to jail. Everybody can see when...
We see Jubilee House clearing.
That's what I'm saying. So at this point, you have to find a way to start giving, quote unquote, the people what you promised them. Look, you can make all the institutional changes. You can make all of the rules. You can even say that now trials should take 1 hour. You still have to balance those new rules with respect for due process. You can't say that because we've changed the rules now, an accused person cannot come to court with the right to self-defense, for example.
No,
but ultimately, I'm not saying that's what you're saying. But
what the people are saying in agreeing with Domelevo in whatever context he put there, the issue is that 7 months or 8 months is too long.
See, the 7 is coming.
No, it's actually not 7. Because you are repeating it. Because you are repeating it, it got to my head. 8 months is too long. Okay, 8 months is too long, because if this is your priority, what do you need? You have all the awesome powers of the state to investigate.
Parliament to support you.
If you need police, if you need CID officers, if you need to recruit people to get this done, you don't need a whole week to get these things fixed. So what's the problem?
I get all of that, but I'm still saying that even when you marshal all your state institutions and all your state resources, you still have to follow due process, right? So again, I agree. And the other thing I would say is the government is a victim of its own political promises and engagement with the people. So the heat that they are facing is justifiable, right? You promised people...
How can you say 160,000 and the thing 700,000? How long should this case take?
So exactly, right? You
this particular case, with the lands and those places that they were claiming they shouldn't have access to those land, go and check the buildings where they have gotten to.
They are up, they are going on.
And I can assure you, if you give them 2-3 more months or so, the projects will be over.
Something, what is
and that story will be a different story. We'll not be talking about land. We'll be talking about
more grandstanding than governance. So all the things, rumors who were coming and said, a lot of it, seemingly now, it's looking like grandstanding and propaganda.
But I mean, something. Imagine when the oral report was done, right? In my opinion, the fanfare with which it was presented, right? And all of the accompanying statements, of course, you do raise the expectations of the public that, oh my goodness, all of these bad things have happened that have cost us this much, then please recover our money. So what I'm saying, and I'll keep saying, is at this point, whether it would take you a day, a month, a year, what the public, I believe, is asking for is you promise certain particular results.
Yo guswa ohwe ensam no edema message so subscribe like to Dwumadie no share na ma foforo enso ensanka be kindly click on the notification bell no so send be any news be out platform no so a onso wo hunu de echo ene de de be POG Media de ye no mo family no yi message se obe subscribe it is the medican aka no me anko ne konko je family no abra bedwafo no eguso mu guso ebobo nsem
results. Yes. I mean, I found it very instructive in the last AG's public engagement where he said, as an attorney general, I can only prosecute, I can't convict. I 100% agree with him.
They're professional.
But in the eyes of the public, what they are waiting for ultimately, whether you are the one who will do the conviction or not, is certain things were promised and they want to see that. That is why I also found it very worrying that when the General Secretary of the party said, hey, I mean, I even wrote about it in the Daily Graphic, which is, look, God forbid this thing fails. Let it fail because of weak institutions and weak institutional processes. But don't let it fail because the very people who promised it, some turned around to undermine it. And that, for me, is one of the biggest things that I hope the president...
Do you share Senyor's view that people like Domelevo should not be talking because they should be working? And we can confirm that the Attorney General is working with the NIB, IOCO, and the police. So like Senyor said, he is heading a board of the institution that is part of this. So he shouldn't be heard complaining.
But I think there's a part too of that, him also being able to speak, right? Even though he's part of it. Who knows, maybe his public pronouncements would even spare some further action with them, right?
When someone the end of the tunnel to even see the light, then I have a problem because you are supposed to be part of that pipe, that conduit for resolution.
But maybe he knows something that you and I don't.
He says there's systems. Yes. It's systems. He wants reverse bidding. What the reverse bidding is, and he speaks about also the unexplained wealth orders.
Yes.
So that you don't even have to go to court. Unexplained wealth orders. If you have come into money, wealth, properties, the state will say, Senor, when you were coming into office, we knew you had 2 houses, you had 2 cars, but now you have 3 companies, you have 5 other homes, you have 10 other cars. They will simply call you and say, explain your source. They won't take you to court. Explain your source. If you can show that the money came from your income, the money came from a loan, it came from an inheritance, it came from a gift or a reasonable source, you are free to go and keep your property. But if you can explain that it came from any of this, the state will simply take them away from you.
Absolutely.
And the reverse bidding is in the civil law countries, French. They use it to fight corruption. So all that the accuser does is to point at Samson and say, he's corrupt, he's done ABC. They don't do more than that. They must go and prove that you actually are corrupt. It is your job to prove to the court that you are not corrupt. He says we need these 2 very quickly.
So like I said, the key things that we should be focused on this oral thing is the reforms. Addo promised that he didn't deliver it. John Mahama said things in 2014 you cited, all right? Where did it go? Nowhere. It means that we have structural problems and also political will problems. But the NDC has no excuse. You have full powers. The president says he doesn't want to call supreme leader, but under the circumstances, he must assume that status and force the matter. Because it's the basis upon which, one of the basis upon which he was brought to office. Frankly, like I tell my brother Bubu, John Mahama and Bawumia were not on the ballot. It was things like Aura and then Nanado, they were the ones on the ballot. So we want that justice. We want that impunity to end. We want to be able to restore confidence in democracy.
Ejapa, don't you think
so if you will not do it, their problem day.
So Senor Ejapa, don't you think sincerely, as a lawyer, I tried to ask you that question,
sure.
but you kept not trying to give an answer. As a lawyer, don't you think sincerely that the guys who are leading oral and the politicians, they've created a problem for the Attorney General, which they should not have? Because the way they went about it, to suggest that this can be done within a short time, when the system does not allow it, they have created a problem for the Attorney General.
I remember saying that the chicken is coming home to roost, no? Because they made it look as if these guys are thieves, we've caught them red-handed, all we have to do is to take them to court and they'll be convicted. Turns out that commitment really, or now those statements were not what could actually get people convicted. You need evidence, you need proof. that these people have actually committed the offenses or the things that you've accused them of. That's why I'm asking Elikem along the line. At what point do you call people thieves?
So with your legal lenses on,
So
the
yes,
frustrations are not justified about delays. They are not
Frustrations by
justified
who?
by the public.
but it's the politicians who promise them. So they have a legitimate expectation, like Prof was saying. So if you
No,
now,
but you are a lawyer. You know the system. That's why I'm asking you that
I'm a lawyer,
direct
but I'm a
question.
politician.
Second,
I came here not as a lawyer. I came here as a politician.
good.
So that's why look, in all honesty, and Senor, I take it from the point where you say people are getting frustrated with democracy, with our politics. True. Because we brand ourselves thieves.
That is what you do. You all come on
Incessantly.
the same thing.
When
And
we
you are
know
going out
that
of
some of the
same
things that
account.
we are saying, we cannot establish. We do it to ourselves. So people are now beginning to see all of you are thieves. But is that the case? Is that the case? So really, it's their cross that they need to carry. If they will be bold to go and tell the people of Ghana that, look, we made these commitments, we exaggerated, these things are what has to be done, certainly bring people to account, no doubt. I'm not, for the life of me, going to sit here and say that, there are suspicions of wrongdoing, but leave them. No, by all means. Like I said,
This is where we take a break, but I can see Elikem wants to say something.
To go at this.
You should come and apologize for the way you came.
If you have to do so.
You should apologize because the kind of that came, you were going.
Say you're going to give them 12 billion.
Did you want to say something?
Where you want to get it from?
Go on a break.
21 billion.
21 billion.
I give us 1 billion for now.
You see, what we are losing sight of is the fact that, and I'm reiterating further, that you are not expecting that processes begin immediately. And then you now, and I agree with him when he said, okay, based on things you have said in the past, it is the reason why others feel that, right from when the documents were handed over to you, a week from then, you must begin processes.
So you agree?
It is not, no, never.
You miscommunicated.
No, in the first place. Let it not be lost on us as though absolutely nothing is being done. Are we not aware of the National Service
Signals Bureau, National Service.
The Signals Bureau has processes not begun? It's not.
That's like 2, 3 in
Suddenly,
how many?
Now you will say 2, 3.
In 2,400 cases.
We're talking about
You're talking 2,400. Out of that 2,400, the Attorney General will need to set some priorities from that. And I'm just giving you two. Maybe they could.
That's not the matter. Dominic is working.
It is not.
Now we are all agreeing. You said the same thing. You talked about processes.
Yes.
All we are saying here is that you miscommunicate.
No, and I have brought unnecessary pressure. You
created legitimate expectations. Meanwhile, you knew that you could not carry that out. Those expectations.
I'm sorry, but
so look, let's be honest about it. Okay. Then why are we talking about 9 months? Why are we talking? Why should people be frustrated? If they didn't create the impression that, in 3 months, this matter was going to happen. The docket that Okudetu and Co went to give to Dominic was not matter.
I remember very well. I was in.
Then
Winnipeg.
you come and hold the Attorney General responsible for what?
In Winnipeg with then candidate Mahama, when he made it clear that the very moment he assumes office, he was going to set up Operation Recover All Loot. Did he set it up immediately? He
did.
He did. Have they done their work? Yes, they have. Have they now transferred it to the appropriate authority? Yes, they have.
It's been 8 months. That's the question.
When you say it now, I'm glad we've agreed on 8 months. But even if it's established that it has been taken to that authority, are you expecting that 2,400 documents out of that? Are we assuming that maybe 400 should be prosecution should start for 400? Then we are saying that is why I brought your mind back to what the president said from Winnipeg.
No, forget about the president. With your permission,
he was the number one who made the point.
I agree. But let's look at the the things that
we take a break
here.
We
all agree.
We take a break here.
Dominic is working hard on it to take time.
Okay.
Let's just agree.
Thank you.
Now we've come to the point that we all agree.
Thank you.
You have said it even more than
that is a foregone conclusion.
You should have said that before. You should have made a thing like tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
He said tomorrow morning.
When we return, when you live in a country where as many as 4 million people benefit from gold, as in through small-scale mining or whatever you call it. And 52% of your gold export proceeds come from small-scale mining. And we are told that over 85% of small-scale mining is actually galamsey. How do you win a fight against that? NIMOS has been on the rampage. It's getting some applause, but to what extent? We'll be right back.
Yo, aha, and the Jumedian no ABC, and the amount subscribe, like to Jumedian share, the mouth of and sa and can be and kindly click on the notification bell so send a the any news be out of platform no so one so one who the airco and the POG Media Gana be fan into my perfra. Young court near far for no and your day, bro.